Okay, where are all my menopausal women at? Let's talk about moodiness. How many of us are feeling a little moody? Put it in the comments. I know I'm not alone. What I know about the menopausal experience is you're not just losing 3 hormones, you're losing up to 12 neurochemicals. It is a massive neurochemical shift. And in this massive neurochemical shift, you're going to see these wild mood swings. Now, if you don't know about the history of hormones and how they change as we go through menopause, our calming hormone, progesterone, that stimulated a neurotransmitter called GABA, actually starts to decline in our 30s. So we start to get some hints of those little irritability moments. But then in our 40s, we see estrogen go on a wild ride. She's up, she's down, she's up, she's down. And so we feel great one day, and the next day, we don't feel so great. Put in the comments if that's you. And I know, if you're watching this with a spouse, that can be incredibly confusing as to why we're smiley and sweet on one day and the next day, not so much. Because when estrogen goes up and down, estrogen stimulated some major mood molecules. And I'm going to give you 2 of them that you know quite well. One is dopamine. Estrogen had a major impact on your dopamine production. The second one is serotonin. Estrogen had this incredible impact on serotonin. So when estrogen goes away, you start to lose these happiness, motivating, excitatory neurotransmitters. When progesterone goes away, you lose the calming neurotransmitter. And that neurochemical mix makes us a little bitchy. And if you're feeling a little bitchy, put it in the comments. It's always good to call ourselves out. But I want you to know you're not alone. That a 2008 study in the Journal of Psychiatry and Neuroscience showed that 70% of us are neurochemically bitchy. That we are suddenly irritable and angry. And I want to bring you down 2 paths as to why that is happening. One is this neurochemical path, and the other one is going to be a really cool around our life choices path. So stay tuned for the end of this video for me to go through that. So what's happening? Let's break down serotonin first. So I always think, and dopamine and serotonin are like, they go hand in hand. So dopamine, I used to always tell my patients, dopamine takes you to the goal, it gets you going, but then once you achieve the goal, it's not the neurotransmitter that tells you, good job. It is the neurotransmitter that says, let's do that again. So dopamine is a motivator, and it keeps you going, and it is what we call the molecule of more, not the molecule of enough. Now serotonin comes in right after dopamine gets her hit. Serotonin comes in and says, you did a good job. You should feel good about yourself. Now let's go back to your menopausal journey. Estrogen's going down. Dopamine and serotonin are going down. So all of a sudden, you're not motivated, you're not focused, and even when something great happens to you, your brain isn't giving you signals of, oh, that was pretty good, happy that happened. This is causing so many of us to be irritable and angry because we're not neurochemically equipped to handle the day-to-day life that we have created. So there was a 22 review in the Journal of Pharmacology, Biochemistry, and Behavior that noticed that actually serotonin is the most important neurotransmitter for regulating moods. And so it went on to talk about that when serotonin drops, you can feel depressed, you can feel isolated. And this is why a lot of times they will prescribe you a medication that will upregulate serotonin. That medication, by the way, highly controversial, sometimes works, doesn't work. And I think it's not just, depression isn't just the loss of serotonin, but depression can be the loss of other aspects of your life that we'll talk about here at the end. Now, what we do know is that estrogen increases serotonin. And there was a 2013 paper done in Current Psychiatry Research and Reviews that estrogen specifically regulates serotonin in your amygdala. Now, the amygdala is in the center of your brain. It is your limbic system, and it is the place that is the control of moods and emotions. So when estrogen goes down, so does serotonin. Now, who's regulating the moods? This is why you looked at us wrong and all of a sudden we're upset, because we're not neurochemically equipped to be able to handle stress as well as we used to. Now don't worry, I'm going to teach you how to bring serotonin back. Now dopamine's really interesting, because estrogen also influenced dopamine. And there was a 2011 study that found in the Journal of Neuroscience that found that that estrogen and dopamine will rise and fall together. Now in this study, super interesting, they took 79 women and they put them through a series of cognitive tests. And they did those cognitive tests at different parts of the menstrual cycle. And they found that when estrogen was lower, that actually the woman performed worse on the cognitive test. Now, what does that mean about those of us that are going through the menopause experience as estrogen is going down? And I'm going to give you a solution here in a moment. But what I want you to know is that dopamine is the motivator. It is the molecule of more. It's the one propelling you to a goal. It's the one that even makes you want to feel like you want to be happy. It is such a powerful neurotransmitter. And then when you hit that moment, like you hit a goal or you achieve what you want to achieve, serotonin comes in and says, good job. So the way I used to always explain it to my patients is I would say, dopamine is what gets you to the goal, and serotonin is what really celebrates you. So we want both of these neurotransmitters to be active in our brain in order for us to be happy. So there are a lot of different ways we can use our life to bring these neurochemicals back. So you don't as estrogen and progesterone are going down, you don't have to just see your moods go down. What you would behoove you to do is to actually look at, how do I bring in some dopamine and serotonin rich activities into my world so that I can make these neurochemicals on my own. I don't need estrogen to make these neurochemicals. I can make them on my own. So here's one of the first ways that I love to make serotonin, and it is through socializing. Yep, hopefully you know I'm an extrovert, and what we know about serotonin is that she comes out when we're socializing with other people, especially nice people, especially people we love. And there was a 2017 study in PLOS One that found that check this out, serotonin jumped 169% when people were in a positive setting with friends. Think about that. Okay, let's put this into your life. You're 45 years old, all of a sudden you're really moody, everybody's upsetting you. Surely there's a few people that haven't upset you. You have a few besties. You go and hang out with these besties, and all of a sudden you're having this neurochemical experience in the socializing with your bestie that is up-regulating serotonin and bringing serotonin back and giving you that happiness boost that you were so desperately looking for when estrogen left the building. Now, we also know there's another way, a really cool way to get serotonin, and that's through service, acts of service. So I used to always tell my kids when they were young, if you're having a bad day, go help somebody. One of the best ways to overcome a bad day is to go into a place of giving to other people. And this isn't just personal advice. There actually is science showing that a 2013 review in the Annals of New York Academy of Science noted that helping others boosts your serotonin, and if you do it once a week, and you do it with other people that you love, you're getting double the dose of serotonin. So volunteering in community, hanging out with people you love, getting away from thinking about your own life and giving to other people, and now we have brought serotonin back in, and now you don't need to worry about where estrogen is in her progression through menopause. You're in control of your moods. Okay, let's talk about dopamine. So dopamine can be stimulated by pursuing a meaningful goal. And there was a 2019 review in the Consulting Psychology Journal that found that low dopamine made it harder for people to pursue their goals. Okay, well, as menopausal women, got low dopamine. But if they stuck with it and over and over again, they kept going after their goal, within a couple of weeks, their dopamine levels started to rise. Okay, let me tell you about something that I did that took a hell of a lot of dopamine. I wrote Age Like a Girl, and it's ready right now for pre-order, by the way. And I can tell you, throughout this whole process of writing this book, I wanted to give up about 1,000 times. But I had a goal. I knew what day that it needed to be turned in. I knew how many word count, what the word count was that I needed to get to my publisher. And I knew that I had to keep my focus on the goal. And there would be days I would sit down at the computer and every cell in my body was screaming like, no, don't do this. I hate this. I don't want to keep doing this. And by the end of the day, I was always happier. That is dopamine, sticking with a goal, seeing it through, something that's meaningful. This book's really meaningful, not just to me, but I know it's going to be incredibly meaningful for a lot of women. So I just kept my focus on that. And that is how I brought dopamine in to keep me motivated for the next day. Now, there's other types of goals you can do. You don't have to take on writing a book. I'm not sure I even recommend it. But you can start to get new goal challenges in your life that will not just help bring in dopamine, because dopamine loves going for a goal, but if it's new, if it's novel, if it has a challenge to it, all of a sudden you've amplified your dopamine secretion from your brain. So you could try a new gym routine. You could all of a sudden start walking 10,000 steps. I can tell you recently a friend and I started to do a 10,000 a step a day challenge, and it was something that was new and it was exciting. I was doing it with one of my favorite humans, and so I was getting serotonin, I had the dopamine, and it was really motivating me to go the next day another 10 and another 10. You could also start to learn a new hobby. I'll tell you, I just took up surfing and I'm learning how to surf. I took an art class a couple of months ago, learning how to draw. All of these new activities brings dopamine back online. So the mood swings happen neurochemically because you didn't get the message that you had to go seek these neurotransmitters. They don't just come to you anymore. You got to actually go out and do daily activities that bring these neurotransmitters back online. And socializing, acts of service, newness, challenges, novel things, learning new activities, all of that is not just creating a fun life, but it's actually creating a neurochemical reaction within your body. Now, last thing I want to say, so don't go anywhere. So Age Like a Girl is coming out. It's available for pre-order, and there are 3 parts to it. And in the 3rd part, I show you how menopause is our transformational moment. And after working with a lot of menopausal women, I can tell you that one of the challenges that menopausal women have as they move through those menopausal years is all of a sudden things they used to like, they don't like anymore. Like, I'll use myself as an example. I used to be okay with a messy house. Not anymore. I could have some stuff on the countertops. Nope, not anymore. There was a massive behavior change. And for a lot of women, when they go through this menopausal experience and they lose these neurochemicals, they actually can see routines and habits and things that they do that no longer work for them. So the next time you're feeling depressed, what I really encourage you to do is acknowledge that there's a neurochemical shift. Ask yourself if there is a lifestyle tool that you can bring in to help stimulate that neurochemical. I got lots of lifestyle tools in here for you. And then the last thing is ask yourself if maybe you're depressed because there's an aspect of your life you no longer want to live, or there's an aspect of your life that you no longer want to engage in, and that it's time to maybe leave a job, it's time to change personal trainers, maybe you need to change your therapist, maybe there is something you've created, maybe you have to stop doing everything for your children. There's something in your life that is no longer working for you, and mix that with this neurochemical shift and you are going to start to become depressed. So dive into the lifestyle, make changes there, and start to reorganize things in your life that may no longer fit. Because as you will learn when you get into Age Like a Girl, what you will learn is that menopause is a returning home to ourselves. It is our moment where we finally live life on our terms. We stop being so obsessed with pleasing everybody around us, and we start to focus on pleasing ourselves. And I promise you, if you focus on pleasing yourself first, the moodiness goes away.
Okay, check this out. I have a free fasting guide for you all. It's free. And it's going to teach you all the basics of fasting. It's going to teach you how to kill hunger when you fast, which is really cool. And it's going to show you how to break your fast, among many other things. All you got to do is click on the link below and enjoy.
So I want to have a very detailed discussion with you all about protein. It is definitely becoming a very popular topic right now. And I think it is definitely the hero macronutrient. We need to bring protein back, just like we need to bring fiber back. There's a lot of really interesting chemistry reactions that happen when you eat fiber. And there's a lot of cool chemistry that happens in your body when you eat protein. And one of the things we're seeing as the obesity epidemic is getting worse and worse and worse is that people are eating less protein and they're eating less fiber. And we need to bring these back. On this video, I'm going to talk about why we need to bring protein back. And there are 4 different reasons I want you to consider increasing your protein. Ready? Let's dive in. So the first reason that I want you to think about improving your protein amounts is for fat loss. And I know a lot of you come to my channel because you want to lose weight. And awesome. And a lot of you have lost weight. Like, put it in the comments if you've lost weight through either my books or through this channel, because I love how some of you have dropped hundreds of pounds. It's really cool. So, but what protein specifically does is that it is a stabilizer of blood sugar, and it really kills your hunger. So let me explain what I mean by that. Let's go back. Let's put it in the terms of metabolic switching. So what we know is that we want to be able to switch over into the fat burner system periodically, using fasting as a tool for healing. But if this system, the sugar burner system, is like got you up and down and all around with the foods you're eating, and it's not stable, getting over to that fat burning system is very difficult. So when we increase protein and do a high protein diet, we start to stabilize your blood sugar. That makes your fasting lifestyle much easier. The example that I use all the time is beautiful human Todd, giving me authorization to speak about him. He lost 175 pounds building a fasting lifestyle. And what I did when we first started working together is the first thing I did is have him take his standard American diet and compress it all into one eating window. And then once he got rhythm with that, I had him increase protein. And just by doing those 2 things, within 90 days, he had lost 40 pounds. Now, why did that work? Well, I didn't take anything away from him. I just said, eat whatever you want, drink the soda you want, just do it in this eating window, and then let's bring in this really cool macronutrient by increasing protein. And what happened was his hunger started to change. And when his hunger became more stable, what he found is that he wasn't craving the junk he was craving before. So I will continue to say this, that you do not need motivation when it comes to weight loss. You need momentum. And when you pair protein with a fasting lifestyle, you will get momentum so fast. And that is what happened to Todd. A study, by the way, a really cool 2019 study, showed that 30 grams of protein in a meal, so if those of you that like the numbers, 30 grams of protein in a meal caused people's body to burn more calories when they were in a rested state. So if you'd like to sit and burn more calories, make sure you're getting 30 grams of protein with every single meal. Second thing that protein does is it really helps us build muscle. Now, I hope you've heard this over and over again. There's great information out there about how we break muscle down as we age, and that really affects our functionality. And it can be as simple as we just have, as you age, you have trouble like getting yourself out of a chair. I've told this story before. When my dad in his 80s had knee replacement surgery, he had lost so much muscle going into that surgery that it became difficult for him to even get out of a
chair to be able to reposition himself when he was recovering from the surgery. So you need muscle as you age. It is probably more important than almost anything, especially when it comes to your musculoskeletal system. The other things about protein is that it'll break down into amino acids, and these amino acids will go in and repair injured muscles. So when we look at things like my menopausal women that are losing estrogen, and so therefore they're losing collagen, and so therefore they're ending up with more musculoskeletal injuries, when we bring protein in, we're not just building muscle, but we're increasing the amino acid profile that's helping us repair any injury. So if you had an injury that needed repair, the best thing to do is to improve your protein intake. Okay, number 3 is it improves and helps with brain function. Now, this is really interesting because the research is showing that low protein diets create low neurotransmitter production. Now, your neurotransmitters are these little mighty chemicals that get you thinking clearly, that keep you happy, that calm you. And for, again, my menopausal women, as we go after 40, as we lose estrogen and progesterone, we also lose dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine, glutamate, oxytocin, BDNF, GABA. So we're losing 10 neurochemicals, and that will affect our brain, and that will contribute to things like dementia and Alzheimer's and mood disorders like depression and anxiety. So when is the last time you had a bad day? Did you ever ask yourself, did I eat enough protein? On a depressed day, on a mood low day, go eat more protein because it's going to bring in those amino acids that are going to help you make those neurotransmitters. Okay, 4th reason you're going to want to bring protein back into your diet, and that's that it really improves your skin health. Okay, again, I'm a 54-year-old postmenopausal woman, so if I got some of you listening, put it in the comments, because I look at the statistics on my YouTube channel, and there's a lot of you out there, and you're navigating the wild, wild west of the menopausal years, and I'm here to tell you that protein can really dramatically help not just the moods, not just the challenges you're having with weight gain, not just the breakdown of muscle, but it even help with your skin, because as you lose estrogen, you lose collagen, and as you lose collagen, this stuff gets more wrinkled. So one of the largest bodies of research that have been done on protein shows that taking collagen protein into your system, and I'll talk about different ways we can do this in a moment, not only improves the smoothness of your skin, but it will increase the elasticity and decrease skin aging. I'm going to put the link to that study in the notes here so you have it. But when is the last time that you have looked in the mirror and gone, oh, wow, I'm really getting, the wrinkles are really accelerating. Did you translate that into, am I getting enough protein? So in an era where we're leaning to toxic fillers like Botox and the junk that people are putting on their face, when did we stop and ask ourselves that maybe I just need to increase my protein? Here are some of my favorite sources of protein. And I've got vegan options and I've got animal options. So hopefully my plant-based friends have not left this conversation. So my favorite is grass-fed beef. And let me tell you why. Grass-fed beef or lamb, and this would even be grass-fed dairy, has beautiful array of the right omegas. So it has omega-3, 6, and 9. Our fatty acid profile is so important for cardiovascular health, brain health, joint health, skin health, all the things. So I like leaning into those proteins, knowing that I'm not just getting the amino acid surge that this kind of protein can provide me, but I'm also getting the right amount of fatty acids. Second one that I really love, if you can find it, is wild fish. Now, specifically salmon, because it has a high omega profile, but I also am experimenting with some of the fattier fishes like sardines and anchovies because of the vitamin D that exists within them. And remember, especially as we age, we need more vitamin D. So let's go back to a food that's going to give us amino acids, going to give us fatty acids, and it's going to give us vitamin D. Those of you that are spending tons of money on supplements, how about we come back to some of the great food strategies strategies here, like eating some of the wild fishes that can support our overall health in so many ways. Okay, other ones, free-range chicken, turkey, and poultry. I love those foods because what they do is they also increase tryptophan, and tryptophan can get converted into serotonin, which will keep you happy. So it's a real big one for neurotransmitter production. And then for my friends that are plant-based, legumes, chickpeas, beans, lentils. Lentils are some of my favorite, and I'll tell you why. Lentils have an amino acid in it, a profile that is rich in leucine. And leucine is that amino acid. When you get enough of it, it opens up all the sensors for all the other amino acids. So you want to be eating more of these leucine-rich foods, and lentils is an incredible one. Tofu. I am determined to bring soy back into the conversation. I do not get how years ago we started to villainize soy as being this endocrine disruptor, and yet we've permeated our system with all these toxic ingredients like BHT and BHA, and we have slathering them on our body, but people are staying away from soy. Soy is a phytoestrogen, and it is really important for bringing up your estrogen levels. And for my menopausal women, we need to do everything we can to bring estrogen levels back up. So let's bring soy back into the conversation, please. And make sure it's organic. That's key. But tofu, other forms of soy can be great. And then the last couple ways I like to get protein in, Greek yogurt. I often break my fast with Greek yogurt. Put some berries in there. That's phenomenal. And then nuts. But make sure your nuts are raw, because the raw nuts are going to have more enzymes in them that will help you break it down. And when you are eating protein, I feel like you should follow 2 rules based off the science that I've seen, and making this easy so you can put it into your lifestyle. So one is 30 grams of protein per meal. The research says, yep, you want to have at least, don't fall short. I'm a big egg fan. Egg has a lot of leucine in it too. But in order to get at least 30 grams, I have to have 5 eggs. And believe me, I've done it. Like I've done it where I've soft-boiled 5 eggs and eaten them after a workout. So make sure you're looking at your amounts. So, and then the second thing is I do believe 1 gram of protein for every pound of body weight that you are is a really good way to approach protein. So, and you combine that with, and it's a really good way to clean up the sugar burner system, and you combine it with some of the different styles of fasting I've taught you, and now you have created a stellar lifestyle for yourself that keeps your brain working well, builds you muscle, helps you lose weight, and improves your skin. And I don't know a human on the planet that doesn't want to do all of that. So this is why I love protein. It is absolutely the hero macro, but let's do it right. Let's eat it clean. And if you are going plant-based, let's just make sure we're getting enough of it. And you might have to diversify your protein sources so that you're getting all essential and non-essential amino acids in there. Massively important. As always, I hope that helps. Put in the comments what your favorite protein is. I'm kind of curious because I got some food solutions for you coming up. So I want to hear what you love the most. So on the next video, it's called Do This Before You Sleep to Avoid Belly Fat. And there's habits you want to do the night before, and there's habits you want to do in the morning, and all of those make a big difference. Make sure your room is cool. If our mattress is cool, if the room is cool, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system. This is a little bit like cold plunges